Okay. Let's all bring our palms together to pay reverence and to make our veneration to the perfect one, the undefeated one, the unvanquished one, the infinitely compassionate one, the fount of all wisdom. He is our Father, He is our guide, and He is the greatest teacher that mankind has ever seen. Reminding ourselves of how fortunate we are to be disciples walking in His footsteps. Let us make this veneration to the Supreme Buddha, and as we do so, let us also remind ourselves that this is not a mere mark of our obeisance, but a pledge of our allegiance to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, reminding ourselves of our purpose of being here. This is a journey that we have embarked upon to achieve the highest bliss, the ultimate supreme bliss of Nibbāna. With that in mind, please join me in making this veneration, and we will then seek refuge in the Noble Triple Gem, observe the precepts, and commence today's sermon. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. With permission from the Noble Triple Gem. Venerable Swami Mahansa and devout listeners of the Buddha's teachings. To see a comet fall from the sky is quite a rare thing, isn't it? It's not every day you see one of those. Give me a show of hands if you've ever seen one. A falling comet. And when you got to hear that such a thing was happening, such a thing was imminent, what did you do? When you got to hear either on the news or on social media, or someone told you that you're going to be able to spot a comet in the sky, what did you do? You would have planned for it so that you were there when it happened, and in addition to that, you would have invited others. Perhaps you might send the message around, right? Informed your friends, informed your family, people you care about, because it was a rare sight. So you would have passed the message because you wanted everyone to experience that and watch something that you thought would be a beautiful sight. That's what you did. So you went around and you made an invitation to them. You invited them and you said, I got to hear that there's going to be a comet falling from the sky. And I'm sure it's going to be a spectacular sight. So I'm going to be watching it. Perhaps you might wish to come around. Or if you can't join me in person, at least look up at the sky at this particular time in this direction, and next to Orion you will see it. Something or the other. Remember? You did that? So you made an invitation to witness something that was rare, because you wanted them to experience something that was pretty rare. Chances are you may never see one of those again, not in this lifetime. It's a very rare sight. Even if you think of a solar eclipse, again, rare sights. Give me a show of hands if you've seen a solar eclipse. We have a few more hands going up that time. So when you got to know that there was going to be a solar eclipse, again you did something similar. Right? You got to hear it on social media, maybe on the news, they said, see, it's a newsworthy story. Why is it that a newsworthy story? Because it's rare. Indeed, it's rare. So you make an invitation. People you care about, people who you want to experience in it and enjoy the same as you are going to. Because you know you're going to watch it, you know you're going to enjoy it, so you make an invitation, right? Just before we started the sermon, what did you hear me do? We made an invitation. What did we invite? What was the invitation for? Saddhamma munirajassa sunantu sagga mokkadam. Which do you think is rarer? The sight of a falling star, an eclipse, or the opportunity to listen to the teaching of the Buddha? That day when you saw that falling star from the sky and you were all gathered with your friends and family and you looked up the sky and you said, "Hey there, look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Take some pictures because we may never see it again." Do you remember that day, those of you who were there when it happened? You said it was spectacular. You talked about it, you raved about it. You went around telling your friends about it. You couldn't stop talking about it for weeks, maybe even months, because you thought you were quite fortunate and lucky. That was the word you used. You were lucky to see it. And even when you saw that eclipse, you thought you were lucky to see it because not everyone does. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just invited you to listen to the teaching of the Muniraja, the king of all munis. He is the Muniraja, the king of all sages, the greatest of all sages. His teaching is what you're about to listen to. If you thought that day when you saw that falling star, if that day when you saw an eclipse that you were lucky, how fortunate and lucky do you think you are today to listen to the teachings of the great Master? But because you have it every day, because it's on the internet, because it's everywhere, because all you have to do is click a button and you can download the whole volume. And because you can buy them online, and because you can tune into them on your podcasts, just because you can do that, you must not think that it is a common thing, that it's commonplace to have the teaching of the Muniraja. There is nothing rarer than this, ladies and gentlemen. It just so happens that you are in the right place at the right time. That's all it is. Nothing more than that and nothing less than that. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time. If it hadn't been you, it would have been someone else. Because they would have been in the right place at the right time. So everyone who's not here, and I don't mean here in this Dhamma hall, I mean here in the metaphorical sense. Wherever the teaching of the Buddha is there, wherever the teachings of the Buddha prevails, whoever is not there, I don't mean just this place. Whoever is not there, it's just they're not there in the right place at the right time. Sometimes we fail to realize and recognize how fortunate we are. I want you to look back at your lives and work it out for yourselves. Let's do this together. Look back at your own lives and work it out for yourselves. How fortunate you are to have come across the Buddha's teaching. Let me explain to you. Between all of you, you have not decades, but centuries of experience between all of you. Because we have people here from all walks of life. The learned, the educated, the erudite, the sophisticated, the simple, all of them. Men, women, mothers, to be mothers, fathers, to be fathers, husbands, to be husbands. I don't know why, but to be husbands. We have the lot. People who have climbed up to the pinnacle of their careers, PhD holders and double PhD holders, as if it was not enough once when you got your head damaged. So you've got people of all sorts, all walks of life. So collectively, there's enough, ample evidence that you are all on the pursuit for an answer, for a solution to the problems that lay in your lives. If you can see what I can see right now, because all you can see is me, but if you could see what I can see right now, you will see hundreds of examples of failed attempts. That's what I'm looking at right now. You failed that class. It's funny, we are in a school talking about failing a class. Each of you took a class. Each and every one of you took a class, and you failed. Think about some of the classes you took in the hope that you might pass with flying colors. Think about the classes you took. One class you took was education. That was one class. You took education in the hope that it would bring you every joy and bliss that life was supposed to offer you. So you took that class. And what happened? Failed. That's why the educated are here. Welcome, educated people. All ye who are educated, come to me. If Jesus were here today, he would have said that. All ye who are educated, and yet weary and burdened, come unto me. Then there are those of you who took business classes. Because you heard on the grapevine that working for someone is not the way to earn your happiness. Because then you'd have to keep slaving for the rest of your life. And you heard from people that the best way to be a master is to start up your own business. Then you wouldn't have to slave. You wouldn't have to work for someone else. You could be your own master. You could call the shots. You could write the rules. Because it was going to be your own business. Some of you went to that class. And you failed. Let's be honest. It was not making money that you were interested in. You were seeking happiness. No one is born to make money, ladies and gentlemen. That's not true. No one is born into this world determined to make as much money as they could possibly make. No one is born that way. If you were born that way, then something is fundamentally wrong with you. No one's born that way. And that is why you're not always spending money or either earning money. See, why do people earn money? Because they want to spend money. Spending money is the opposite of earning money. So then it cannot be that people are born into this world to earn money. They want to earn happiness, but they believe that money is a means to that happiness. And therefore they try and earn as much as possible so that they can spend as much as possible in the hope that they can buy happiness in exchange for money. You tried that, didn't you? Then why are you here? Did you get on the wrong bus or something? How come you're here then? You're here because it was a failed attempt. So tried education, didn't work. Tried business, didn't work. What else did we try? Yes. I can hear the ladies. I can hear you, ladies. I hear you. I hear you. Right, gents, stick your fingers in your ears for a second. You tried? Marriage. Only the gents will have to agree just as much as the ladies that they also tried the same. So you took that class. You might have even bought books and read plenty on the subject. How to have a what married life? What's the magic word? Happy married life. You took that course, didn't you? How to have a happy married life? So those of you who are married or who's ever been married, give me a show of hands. I'll put my hand up myself. Right, so more than half of you are. Right, now why are you here? Why are you here then? I mean, it's a valid question, isn't it? If a happy married life is what you were after, and a happy married life is what you were promised, when you got onto the sorry, not the Poranu, the Porake. No, not the... Sorry. Try again. The Poru, yes, the Poru. Sorry, that was just a slip of the tongue. So when you got onto the... What was it again? Poru, yes. When you got onto the Poru, you were promised. And they said the Ashtaka. The Kavu Mahatya, he said the Ashtaka. And then so you've tried both. There's the love marriages, and then there are the arranged marriages, right? So you've tried both. Collectively, I mean. Maybe the lucky ones have tried both. Either way, I still have to ask you the same question. Why are you here? Why are you here? So if you've tried marriage, I want you to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. It was not to be married that you wanted. That I can promise you. You need to understand this. So when you live life, you feel like there's a certain routine that you have to follow. Because it's what people put into your heads. Soon after you're born, you have to go to nursery. Because you have to start your education. And that's what your parents say, that's what your elders say. Educate yourselves, learn, study hard so you can be happy later in your life. So keep studying hard. You learn everything as much as you can. But then you realize, no, my life is not fulfilled. Then you wonder what the missing piece is. And then they say, when you come a certain age, you've got to have friends. Friends are what keep you happy. You've got to find and make some friends. Anyone here who doesn't have any friends? You not only have friends, but you also have good friends. You also have best friends. Pretty much every one of you will have a best friend. Then, if you have a best friend, why are you here? Because what did your best friend promise you? Well, I mean, why did you make a best friend? Because they were going to make you happy, right? That's why you had a best friend. It was a guarantee among all your friends. There was this one person who promised that they would always be with you and always be your source of happiness. And that they would always smile with you, they would always laugh with you and keep you happy. Why are you here then? You took that class and you failed again. It's quite ironical that we are in a school and I'm talking to the failed class. This is a class of failed students. Tut, 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 tut. Shame on you. The principal asked me to speak to you. How come you've all failed so miserably? So you tried friends, you tried marriage and failed again. Some of you have tried marriage not once but twice, maybe not twice but thrice, and you still didn't learn. See, if you've been married 2 times, 3 times, why are you still here? What is it that you didn't find in that relationship? The one thing you looked for, the one thing you went looking for, happiness, that was not found there. Once again I say this, it is not to be married you wanted. It is to be happy. It is not money that you wanted, it was to be happy. It was not an education you were after, it is to be happy. Then, something else that most of you have tried, travel. The problems with this country. The problems with this country. The system's not right. The economy isn't right. The weather's not right. The women aren't right. The men aren't right. The education isn't right. Right? Nothing is right about this country. So what must we do? Go find the right country. So you got yourself on a jet and you went across the oceans looking for the right country. Give me a show of hands. I have to put my hand up myself. And yet, we are all back here. How come? I remember to this day, when my parents told me, I was quite young that time, when my parents told me, Putha, we're going to be going. Right? Amma and Appachi have found work in the UK, and so we are going to be migrating there, so you had better start making your own arrangements for that. Don't go telling everyone just yet, because we are still finalizing some of those arrangements. But you can tell your best friend. So the day I heard that, I didn't know how to process it, because I was going to be leaving my best friends. But I was not fulfilled, because there was something wrong with the country. So I thought, then of course, if I went to another country, in that country I would find happiness. So that part of me was excited. But then there was a part of me that didn't want to leave my friends behind, because I was still trying to be happy with friends. See, that's the funny thing as well. Even when new things are introduced to you, you don't give up the old things. Because you still remain hopeful, and you're still not sure whether the new thing is going to be the answer to your problem. So you keep hold of the old ones and you keep trying the new ones, unconvinced that you have found the answer. That's why today you have to maintain a myriad of things. Because what you found first, in the hope that would give you happiness, didn't, so you went looking for the second one, but you are not prepared to let go of the first one because you're worried, you're not sure whether the second one will also do the trick. So you keep hold of that, and you keep trying both of these things, it still doesn't work. Then comes the third thing. You try that, but you're not going to be prepared to let go of the first and the second because you're still not sure whether that's going to work out. Isn't that why people are married and yet have an extramarital affair? I mean, if that's working out, why don't they just give up the first one? And then do it genuinely. What's the deal? You can't fault them. The truth is this. It's because they're not sure about the first one and they're not sure about the second one either. That's why. So for those of you, sorry to say this, but if there's anyone among you who is that second one to someone, well, that's not funny to start a Sunday morning, is it? You didn't come here to listen to all this, did you? So I'm on an insulting mode today. So for those of you who are the second one to someone who still holds on to their first, you just remember that you're simply an insurance plan. Don't forget that. They don't trust that you will do it just as much as the first one didn't do it for them. And here's what else I can tell about them to you. If you're a second, don't think that you're the only one. You may only know about the first that they're legally obliged to be with, but if they can be bold enough, brave enough, audacious enough to have a second, chances are you are one of many. Only you still haven't found out about the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. Not their fault. They just don't know that happiness is what they're looking for. They don't know that yet. Frankly, you don't know that either. That's why you went for him, you went for her. Because you didn't know that happiness is what you were looking for. Therefore, you thought that being in a relationship would give you what you were looking for in life. That's why you are okay to settle being the second to someone who also has a first and a third and a fourth and a fifth. You've got it all wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Sort it out. It's high time. Sort yourselves out. No one's going to sort it out for you. You've got to sort your mess up. Pull yourself back together again. Remind yourself that your purpose here was not to be married, not to be educated, not to have wealth, not to have property, not to have any of these things. You only came here looking for happiness. The happy, content and fulfilled, they are not born. It is only who are not happy, those who are not fulfilled, those who are not content are born. So that they're given another chance to find what they couldn't find in their previous chance. The very fact that we were born is an indication that we were a failure. That's why I always invite you. You were born wrong. Try and die right. You were born wrong. Most people think that children are very innocent. These children, aren't they? They're so innocent. Children aren't innocent. The truly innocent aren't born in the first place. They have as much vexation as you do. They have as much desires as you do. Everything that's wrong with them is also wrong with them. Sorry, everything that's wrong with you is also wrong with them. They just don't know how to go about fixing themselves. But that is the prime opportunity to teach them what is right. Because you were all also a child at one point. Where did we go wrong? You were taught the wrong thing. That's where it went wrong. You were taught the wrong thing. I was taught the wrong thing. That's where it went wrong. We all took lessons from people who had already failed life. Each and every one of us, we took lessons from people who had already failed life. You wouldn't take tuition from someone if you knew that they'd failed the subject, would you? When you hire staff, teachers to the school, don't you check their qualifications? Mustn't they at least have passed that subject which they are hired to teach? Mustn't they? So when you went taking lessons about happiness from people, did you check their qualifications? What qualifications did you check? Here's what you check. Do they have a car? I mean, that's what you checked. You checked whether they had a car, and a nice one at that. Not an old rusty one, a nice car, a nice expensive car. When you saw that, you thought, yeah, they've got it. They got it. They got happiness. They got happiness. They have found the art of happiness. Because they wore a smile on their face and that fooled you. Don't be fooled by what people wear on their faces. Because in this day and age, they have makeup. You can hide a lot of things under that makeup. Ladies, don't you agree with me? There's a lot you can hide under makeup, right? Yes, I can see that. The smile is simply a makeup. I mean, how many people live their lives at home? No smile on their faces. Crying, weeping, moaning, groaning, that's all they do. But when they have to step outside, because they have to give a good presentation, it's because they have to make it look like they live good lives. Otherwise, people will condemn them, people will undermine them, people will mock them and laugh at them. For the simple reason that they demand people's respect. What do? They wear a smile on their faces and they walk out of their front door. And then they keep smiling at people, and people who see them think, oh, they must have it all worked out. Look at them. They're the perfect couple. Haven't you heard people say that? The perfect couple. You only say that because you haven't seen what goes on behind closed doors. That is the only reason you say that. That's the only reason you've heard that. Perfect couples only exist in the public eye. Because here's the irony, ladies and gentlemen. If they are perfect, they wouldn't have been a couple. Checkmate. Beat that if you can. If they were perfect, they wouldn't have become a couple. Where does the need to couple with someone come from? Imperfection, isn't it? The need for perfection springs out of the fact that you recognize that you are imperfect. So you're always looking for perfection. You're always looking for fulfillment. You're always looking to be complete, meaning you're not complete. So what do? You try various things. Coupling up is one of them. So then they cannot be the perfect couple. But you will read about these things on glossy magazines. You'll read about these on the tabloids. You'll read about these, you'll watch these things on the teledramas. People will talk to you about these things, and you will fall victim. If you're not aware about the truth, if you're not conscious about the truth of this world, you will fall prey, and you will buy all this bull. You fill in the blank. Come on. It's time you sold that cow. I sold mine. Apparently someone else bought it. Remember, it's your life. Don't let just people mess with it. Don't let people who just pass by you, strangers who bump into you, just throw utter nonsense into your head and ruin your life for you. People don't realize the impact things have on you when they say things out loud to you. Just think about this. Last week we talked about the body. Remember how young people have become very self-conscious about the way they look? Sometimes all of that is only triggered by just one small comment. Like I said, at the dining table, mother and father talking between themselves. That girl, she's cute, ne? Sudui. So they say in front of their daughter. Just one off-the-cuff comment. The parents didn't take it so seriously. It was just an off-the-cuff comment. But there was someone in the audience. And now she has to live with that for the rest of her life. Every time she walks in front of the mirror, she looks at it and she goes, my mother doesn't approve of me. That's what she feels. I tell you what, from there on, there's nothing you can do to reverse that. You could try and talk sense back to, no, Buddha, that's not what I meant, Buddha. It's not like that. You're also pretty, Buddha. Then why did you say such a thing? Well, now try and dig yourself back out of that hole. Try climbing back out of that hole. This is how minds work, ladies and gentlemen. When you take a drushti on, it's incredibly difficult to take it back out. Just imagine, put yourself in that situation. Someone comes up to you and you are ugly. Look at your nose. It's ugly. That's all they have to say. And the rest of your life, you'll be, every time you walk in front of the mirror, you'll be looking at your nose. You can't help it. You can say, I don't care what people think about me, but I'll still look at my nose nonetheless. Just in case they were right. You can't shake it off now. It's just there. If such an off-the-cuff remark can have such an impact on a mind, just think about all the indoctrinations that you have been imbibed with right from when you started life to this day, ladies and gentlemen. All these things that were promised to you to bring you happiness, to bring you fulfillment, to bring you contentment, and yet you're all here. When are we going to learn that it was simply a case of the blind leading the blind? You've got to knock it into your senses. I've always explained this to you. I don't want these Sunday sermons just to be a sermon. It's not a lecture. It's not a, hey, here's a status quo. Right? This is how the world works. This is how things are. You're indoctrinated. Okay, I'll see you again next Sunday. That's not what these talks are for. This is to transform you. If that internal transformation isn't working for you, try somewhere else. Honestly, try somewhere else. I'm not looking for followers. I was happy without you, and I'll be happy with you, and I'll be happy without you again. If my happiness were dependent on the number of people in this room, don't come here. You're in the wrong room then. You're in the wrong talk. Because Swami hasn't discovered that unconditional happiness, the path to unconditional happiness, he hasn't figured it out. Then don't come to this talk. I was happy without you, and I will continue to be happy with or without you. It's not each other that we need. It's the Dhamma. That's why I always say, don't come to the monastery to see me, come to the monastery to see what I have seen. You know I speak with love, right? Sounds like I'm telling you off. It's not. But I'm inviting you, ladies and gentlemen, if that internal transformation is not taking place for you, perhaps this is not the right sermon. Maybe this is not the voice that you need to hear. Then keep looking. Keep looking until you discover. Until you discover that happiness is not something that's out there. It's within you. Don't be the donkey, always going after the carrot. You've lived your whole life like that. It's time to give up now. Enough of this carrot chasing. How are you any better than that donkey if you think that happiness is outside? Hey, donkeys? Sorry, I mean devotees? Sorry, I meant to say devotees, I mean just donkeys just came out. You know, you're all so good. Otherwise, how do you think I can speak to you so freely? You didn't come here to be insulted, being called donkeys, really? That's how good you are. That's your humility in front of a teacher. You have not left any holes barred. Do what you have to do, Swami Nohansa, I'm here. That is the approach, that is the attitude with which you have to be here. Whatever you want to do, Swami Nohansa, do to me, I'm here for that. Open heart surgery, open brain surgery, whatever it is that you need to do to fix me, do that to me. Right? If that is the attitude with which you can come here, then things will start happening to you. Don't put a firewall between you and me. Where I have to speak to you like I'm walking on eggshells. Then this will have to be a fabricated sermon. I'll have to think before I speak. Here I'm not thinking before I speak. I speak and then I think. Because here's the moment where we just open up to the universe. You bring your merits. My teacher gives me wisdom. And then this is the moment where these two things combine. Where Ping and Kusal come together. And then whatever happens, happens. But whatever happens must happen to you as well. This is not just a place for us to give a good sermon. I can give you a stunning performance, but if you haven't transformed internally, then my purpose of being here would not be achieved. Because I can give another performance at the monastery. You could watch another performance on TED Talk. Why here? Watch a TED Talk. Be inspired. Find your motivation there. Find purpose there. But why here? We are here to allow change to happen. We are here because we realize and recognize that change must happen. That something's not right with the way things are. That's why you must always come here prepared to walk away a changed man, a changed woman, a changed person. So I ask you again, ladies and gentlemen, you need to allow that change to happen. And I want to know whether that change is happening for you. If it's not, you're in the wrong room. Then look elsewhere. Remember, an arahant is someone who is able to live where they are, but without any attachment. They can live wherever they are, without attachment. Detachment happens in the mind. Decoupling happens in the mind. So you can be a couple, but be decoupled. To wish to remain coupled is a defilement. It's a canker. It's an ailment of the mind. We call it dominus. The search of a second thing to associate with. The search for a second entity to associate with. It is when people don't have that they feel lonely. Sometimes loneliness can be lifelong. Other times loneliness can be day long. Sometimes loneliness can be weeks long, hours long, minutes long. Hey, the truth is, you only are a chitta. Therefore, sometimes it can just be a chitta long loneliness. Loneliness is the breeding ground for relationships. Relationships for mutual benefit. Loneliness is the breeding ground for relationships. But if that remains the breeding ground, ladies and gentlemen, remember that a relationship does not fix loneliness. It's the wrong answer. And that is why you're still here. That's why first marriage, second marriage, third marriage, fourth marriage, and you're still here. That's why first boyfriend, second boyfriend, third boyfriend, fourth boyfriend, and you're still here. That's why girlfriend, second girlfriend, third girlfriend, fourth girlfriend, 5 girlfriends all at once, and you're still here. You're still here. The problem is not that yours is a long distance relationship. Don't think that that is the problem. I once used to think that that was the problem, because when we went there, I had an affair with someone, she was here. And so we had a long distance relationship, and I thought that was the problem. So I didn't have happiness in my life, and I thought one day we will live together and then it'll all be fine. So I waited for the day, and the day came. So we started living together, married, husband and wife. But one thing didn't come. Happiness didn't come. That's why I'm here. See, in this space, in this sacred, sanctified, holy space, ladies and gentlemen, we are all united. Just look at that. It doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter which walk of life you come from, whether you're educated or uneducated, wealthy or poor, young or old, it doesn't matter. We have all come here under this one roof because we all seek something and we yet haven't found it. You are the testimony to that. How many different types of food have you tried by this point in life? All those things that people said, have this and you'll be happy. Try that and you'll be happy. Make this, have a bit of this, have a bit of that. Try that restaurant, try this place, try that hotel. You'll be happy. See how much we have spent, not money. I'm talking about life. Life is an opportunity to be happy, not find happiness. Be happy. What is life after all? A chitta. A chitta is life. One moment where vipaka comes into fruition. That's life. So life is not a project where you have to try and be happy. Life is a project where you are happy. It's not even a project. It's just happiness. Life is happiness. But people think that in life you have to try and be happy. So for that they try and do things. Just do a quick Google search and ask Google, what things can I do in my life to be happy? You'll be amazed at the plethora of things that it'll throw at you. It'll say music, dance, TV, drama, friends, party, clubs, travel, fashion. Just ask Uncle Guru. Because that's what you've always done, ask your uncle. You've asked your uncles, you've asked your aunts. And whatever they said, you took as gospel truth. And you just did it. You know, it would be okay to go the wrong direction if when you knew really you were lost, you could turn back round and come back, and whatever you had spent going that way, you would be reimbursed. You can recover. If that could be done, then it's okay to get lost once in a while. But the problem is this. By this point, you've spent 60 years of your life, 70 years of your life, more or less, all the while going down various rabbit holes, each one led to a dead end. And then you came back again and you said, what now? What shall we do now? But although you traced your steps back, did you get back the thing that you spent? The years that you spent doing it? This is why I don't believe in the saying that time is money. You know why? You can give time and get money, but you can't give money and get time back, right? Then why do they say that time is money? It's not right, it's wrong. If one thing is another, you should be able to exchange the two. What we have all done is we've given our time. You got money, and then you realize, oh, oops, I've got money, just not got happiness. So then you want to give money to get happiness. Then why are you here? Some of you might have more money than you know what to do with. Then why are you here? Why are you here, ladies and gentlemen? Why are you here? Some of you might have more property than you know what to do with. Then why are you here? I say these things to you lest you forget that the purpose of your life was only to discover one thing and one thing alone. That is none other than you were born happy. But alas, you thought that happiness was something you had to go looking for. That was where it all went wrong. That one wrong indoctrination, that one wrong drishti. You were born happy, but you were told that you had to go looking for happiness. The moment you were told that, the moment you learned that, you then thought to yourself, oh, well, if I have to go looking for happiness, then surely happiness is not something I have with me, then I've got to go looking for it. So what did the mind do then? The mind quickly jumped at the opportunity, then went around looking for all these entities that you thought were going to bring you happiness. Everything you associated with was an entity. Everything you can think of, starting from your family, the people in your family, your pets, all of these things in your minds are entities. Because you wanted to associate with an entity. See, if your family keeps you happy, why did you bring pets? Why did you buy a pet? You got married and then you got a pet as well, right? I mean, I can't see the logic there. Care to explain to me? I mean, if you're the wife, you bring a husband, you have your husband, and then you have to go up to your husband and say, honey, can we have a bunny? Any husband should feel offended. Right? Any husband should feel offended because he should have to say, hang on, are you suggesting that I don't give you happiness? I don't fulfill you. I don't give you everything you need. That you need a bunny? Can make you happy in ways that I cannot? But here's the thing. When you went and asked him for the bunny, your husband was already thinking of having something else, someone else. So he was just as glad that you asked a question, because he wasn't happy with you either. So you were both happy about the fact that you were going to bring a third option, or a second option, or a fourth option. Like I said, just because you have one doesn't mean you don't want a second. I remember I said this to you one of those days, right? Be glad that the law only allows for one husband, one wife. It's only because the law allows for one spouse. Sorry. Don't feel hurt. Don't be offended, but this is the truth. If the law allowed for more than one, you'd be one of many. I know at this point, you might be jumping up and down in your seat and go, no, Swaminathan sir, I am faithful. I only want happiness from my spouse. I don't want a second. Yeah, we've heard that story. I can't trust that word, ladies and gentlemen. I can't trust that word. I can't believe you when you say that. Not because I think you're lying, but because I understand how minds work. Minds always seek relief from vexation. Not you, minds. I don't care how you work, I don't know how you work, but I'm talking about minds. And if what you are talking about is your mind, then this is how it works, whether you accept it or not. Whether you accept it or not, this is how your mind works. It arises and it passes away. Try and stop that. Just because it's your mind. If you are any different, try and stop that. Change the rules of the game if you can. This is how it works. Wherever there's attachment, there's suffering. Try and change that about you. If you say that, no, you are different. You know, if someone needs more than one color of something, if you need more than one color of something, why should I believe you when you tell me that you only need one spouse? What is the basis that you can give me that I can accept when you say, no, Swami, I just need one spouse? You can come and say, Swami, one is enough. I had it up to here, Swami, sir. If one is this difficult, I don't want to have another. That's a different story. Still, hear me out, right? Remember this and remember this well, because there may be times in life where you will be fooled for lack of knowing this. When you hate something or you dislike something, the more you hate something, the more passionately you dislike something, it's also saying that you love dearly the opposite of that. So your adversity to something, your dislike to something is directly proportional to your desire and your like for the opposite of that. That's why when people come up to me and say, Swaminathan, you know what, I have given up on this, I don't even like those things anymore. What you're really saying is, I like it if only it had been different. Your task is not to dislike something. That's not the objective of this. It's neither to like nor to dislike. It's to be equanimous. It's to be neutral. Neutrality is the aim of this task. Neutrality. If those days you used to love music, but now you hate it because of the Dhamma, that's not the Dhamma that you've been taking. If those days you used to love watching films, but now you hate them, then that's not the Dhamma, that's something else. I don't know what it is. It's not the Dhamma. Love and hate are both two sides of the same coin. Nibbāna is where you get rid of that coin. No love, no hate. No friends, no enemies. So that is where we need to be. I'm just reminding you that collectively there's ample experience in this room that speaks loudly to us, and if you can hear it, that you have tried every trick in the book. You've tried every different thing you can do, every class, and it has always been a failure. Finally you have decided, no, those things didn't work, these things didn't work, let me at least try the Buddhist way. Let me at least try the Buddhist way. It takes a long time for someone to come to that conclusion. A very long time. Most people, it will take them many lifetimes to come to that conclusion. I've tried this, I've tried that, let me try the Buddhist way. So you are very fortunate in that regard, ladies and gentlemen. You are very fortunate in that regard, that whilst you still have some life left in you, you have realized that the Buddhist way has to be the only way. I hope you're not here because you are now retired. It's okay if that's a coincidence, but don't be here because you're retired and now you need to do something with your retirement life. I told you that last week I suggested something you could do in your retirement, regret. So, now I've given you something to do in your retirement. You don't need to be here for that, right? You can regret all the foolish choices and decisions that you made while you are still at work. So don't be here because you're retired. Don't be here because you're now old. If that's a coincidence, that's okay. And you wanted the Dhamma, you realize that the Buddhist way was the only way, but you're also old at the same time. That's okay. We accept that. But don't be here because you're old. You're old now, but nothing else I can do. I'm old now. Nobody wants to hang around with me. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody calls me. Nobody messages me, and I can't even do those text message things anymore. I don't know how these things work. People keep asking me, what's your WhatsApp? And I say, I'm okay. Then I realize, no, they're not saying what's up. They're saying WhatsApp. What is that WhatsApp? Right? Because you're behind the trend. Don't be here because no one invites you to go on trips with them. Don't be here because people don't invite you to their parties. Be here because you've tried everything and you realize that the Buddha's way is the only way, not because you're old. Be here because you know you're tired. You're tired of trying. You're exhausted. Be here because you're weary. You're weary. Because if you're here because you're old, if someone would come here and say, I will give you your youth back, drink this elixir and you shall regain your youth, you know what you'll do? Cheerio, Swamin Mansa. and you will gallop down the stairs. So don't be here because you're old. Be here because you're exhausted, because you're weary. If you're wise and you're intelligent, actually more wise than intelligent, you will realize that you're exhausted at a very young age. The wiser you are, the sooner you realize that you're exhausted. Because you don't have to always try things, you can learn from others. Those are the astute, sharp-minded. Some people are so foolish, they have to make every mistake before they learn, right? So stupid. Every mistake that everyone else has made, they have to make it themselves before they learn. That doesn't work. But if you're intelligent, or rather if you're wise, all you got to do is come up here, turn around and look at the room. And you will realize that you are just one of many. Every avenue of life you want to try out in the future has already been tried out. Go ask them. Go ask them. Go talk to them. Go talk to them. Everything that you think remains to be tried in the hope that it shall bring you happiness has already been tried, ladies and gentlemen, 1,000,000 times. But if you think to yourself, no, I should try it myself, you fall into that previous category I just mentioned. That's okay. If that's the way you're going to learn, then that's the way you're going to learn. But it needn't be that way. This is what you need merits for, ladies and gentlemen. To come to your senses as soon as possible. To realize that every path is a dead end, except for the one. In this game, victory is to accept defeat. I've said this thing to you many times before. Victory is to accept defeat. You're trying to fight nature. You're trying to put things together and try and be happy with that, with the thing that you're trying to put together. Remember, chaos is the order, the natural order of nature. Chaos is the natural order of nature. If you don't accept that, you try to put things into order. And nature sits behind you and says, okay, let me know when you're done, okay? See, people come and go. Nature is immortal. You will die, but nature is immortal. So nature has all the time in the world to destroy everything you create. It is not in any rush. You're the one who's rushing to get things done, to do things, to bring things together, to form things, to organize things, to structure things. Because you've got little time to do all this in, right? Nature, on the other hand, let me know when you're done, okay? Because nature is immortal. When do you realize? What is the day that you will realize that everything you're trying to put together is going to collapse? And that it's not worth your while. When will you learn, ladies and gentlemen, that you're all fighting a losing battle? Think of the things that you're trying to put together these days. Maybe you're trying to put a business together. Maybe you're trying to put your family back together. Maybe you're trying to put your house together. Maybe you're trying to put your work together. Maybe you're trying to put two friends who've distanced themselves. You're trying to put them back together. Maybe you're trying to put a couple back together. They were the perfect couple back then. They were so perfect. Now you have to put them back together. How come you have so quickly forgotten that nursery rhyme your teachers taught you? Humpty Dumpty. That was a lesson in Anicca. They tried to teach you that. What did Humpty Dumpty do? He sat on a wall. Whereas if he had been where he was, he wouldn't have had a fall. But what did he want to do? He want to get on the wall. What was his natural place? On the ground, where things don't fall, at rest. But Humpty Dumpty wanted to get on the wall. Then what happened? He had a what fall? Great fall. How come he didn't stop that? How come he didn't try and stop falling? Well, he's an egg. You can't balance an egg on a wall. Certainly not forever. It's not shaped to be on a wall. It's bound to fall. And it wasn't just any old wall, it was a great wall. A great big wall. Because the taller the wall, the greater the... you know. Oh, I thought you didn't. I say, you know. Oh, good. So he had a great fall. Then what happened next? Kings. See, they sent the king. News got to the king. Not the Gamula Dani. News got to the king. The big one. That's how far the news went, because they kept trying to do this. So the local villages, no, didn't work. Others tried, didn't work. So ultimately the news got to the king, the big one himself. And then what did he do? He sent his horses. And he also sent his men. So he sent everything he had. He sent his horses, he sent his men. So he sent both labor and intelligence. The men were the people who knew how to do it, or who knew what they should at least try. And the horses were the tools. So he sent all of them. All the king's horses. Not some of the king's horses. Right? That's how it goes. All the king's horses. And some of the king's men. Was it? No. All the king's men couldn't do what? Put Humpty together again. They couldn't put Humpty together again because he was now broken beyond repair. Humpty should have chosen better. He could have done better. Because what he was trying to do now was to get help from others, try and fix himself. But if he hadn't climbed up on that wall, then he wouldn't have had that fall, ladies and gentlemen. Then you would not have needed any of the king's men to fix him because he wouldn't be broken. Now, you've heard that nursery rhyme, haven't you? Yeah? How many times have you heard it? That many times. And how many times have you recited it yourself? That many times. But you never realized what it meant to say. So then at least let me explain that rhyme to you. What it actually meant to say. You were born for happiness. Happiness is to be found at rest. Happiness is to be found at rest. But remember, Humpty didn't accept that. He didn't accept that he was happy. Because some other donkey might have told him, get on that wall and then you'll be happy. So unfortunately, Humpty was stupid. Humpty was an idiot. There was no one to give him any advice, any good advice. So he took all the advice that was given to him, that was all bad, poor advice. So what did he do? He climbed on that wall. You were born happy. You were born happy, you were born in a rest state of happiness. But ladies and gentlemen, the people who came and you associated with, the people who put drushti into your heads, told you that you had to climb on great walls. And so you did. Every time you found a wall, you climbed up there. And what happened in the end? You fell. And fell and broke into pieces. Now you're trying to put yourself back together. When are we going to learn that it's not going to work? Remember, the taller the wall, the greater the fall. So every time you prepare yourself for the next wall to climb. When you look up and you think to yourself, wow, that's a good wall. When I'm up there, I'll be able to shine and show everyone how high up I am. That's how you will feel. Because people down will also, they'll encourage you. There will be others who will be climbing the wall either side of you. And they'll also say, hey, look at us, we are already halfway up there. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. So you take their advice. Here's the funny thing. You don't see what's on the other side of the wall, right? You know what's on the other side of the wall? Humpty's just like you, who climbed that wall before you. But now, what are they? In pieces. Only they're on the other side. So you don't see the consequences of climbing up those walls. On this side, there are all little Humptys waiting to climb up the wall. And some halfway up there. Some just on the wall, just manage to get up there. And they say, come on, you can do it, come on. Come and join us up here, and the sight is fantastic. And they'll keep saying that until one day you look up and they're not there anymore. But you cannot see what's happened to them because they're on the other side of the wall. It's only once you get up to the wall you realize, yikes, so many Humpties in pieces. Just the sight of it is daunting. And then before you know it, you have your own fall. Then they try and fix you up. Doesn't work. If you can be smart, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I said, you don't have to make the same mistakes that everyone else made. Only fools do that. Because they don't have the wits about them, they don't have the intelligence, they don't have the wisdom to realize that the same thing happens to me. Because I'm also just a bunch of causes. If you drop this, if you let go of this and this drops, do you have to jump off a roof to see whether it happens to you as well? Huh? If I let go of this and this comes crashing onto the floor, won't the same principles apply to you if you jumped off a roof? Do you have to try it out for yourself to see whether it's going to happen to you? Then, unfortunately, you can't see what's on the other side. That's the only reason you're climbing up these walls. One of your walls will be called business. One of your walls will be called marriage. Another wall will be called something else. These are all walls that you're trying to climb up because you want to get to the top. That's what everyone's encouraging you to do, get to the top. Yeah? In your profession, in your career, what do people encourage you to do? Get to the top. In a family, first you start to be together, get married, and then to get to the top is to have a child. You've got to get to the top. That's when you have gone the whole way, the whole 9 yards. That's when you reach the pinnacle of it. So people always say, get to the top, get to the top. They give you all sorts of walls to climb and say, get to the top. But no matter which wall you climb, on the other side, there's ample evidence to see that each of them was a failure. It's time you realize that. Once again, why am I saying this to you? It's because these sermons have to be a transformation for you. This is not just a performance. This is not a stage to perform. It's to help you realize what's going on with your lives. Don't just take whatever people throw at you. They will always keep encouraging you to climb up those walls, but until you climb up that wall, you will not see what's on the other side. But then it will be too late. See, once you're up that wall, there's only one way you can go. So the Dhamma is your only refuge. You have to accept that. Not because I say so though. You need to accept that the Dhamma is your only refuge. Otherwise, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami makes no sense. It's just something you recite every day before you listen to a sermon. Or before you observe the precepts, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Hamundro says, then you say. It's not a prayer. It's not a prayer. It's an acceptance. It's an affirmation. It's taking refuge. See, there's gravity in that word. You're taking refuge. When you take refuge, it implies that you have nowhere else to go. In war-torn countries, you have people who go seeking refuge in other places, don't they? Yeah? So, if you apply for a refuge to go to another country as a refugee, you've got to prove that there's no way for you to live and survive in the country of your own origin. You've got to evidence that. That if you remain where you're from, then it would be disaster for you. It's only then they give you refuge. The same applies in this context as well. If you genuinely say that that Dhamma is your only refuge, you have to have come to the conclusion that nothing else works. That's why I said, don't be here because you're old. Don't be here because you're poor. Don't be here because you're uneducated. Don't be here because of anything else. Because something's not working out for you. Don't come up here and say, Swaminathan, my wife doesn't love me. Can you help me? Swaminathan, my relationship isn't working right. I don't know, something's going on these days. Can you help me? Can you sort me out? Swaminathan, my child is not doing well at school. Right? He's not getting the grades he used to get. Swaminathan, can you help me? This is not the sermon for that. This is not the place for that. I'm not suggesting that any of you have, because you all come here with the right. You all know why you're here. I'm just saying that is not what we should be looking for now, because all of those are simply paths that lead to a dead end. Let's assume that I can give you my blessings, right? And you give your children my blessings, and then they perform well at school. So then they get the best grades, they come first in class, and then what? Then they go to university, right? And they get a good degree, and then what? Then they get a good job, and they earn money, and they buy property, and they build a house, they buy a car, they get married, and then they come back here. Why take the scenic route? I mean, have you not studied the difference between distance and displacement? I want to displace you to Nibbana. Is that okay? That's what I'm here for. I want to displace you to Nibbana. I can do that to the extent which you allow me to. To the extent you allow me to, I can do that. But if you come and say, Swaminathan, not yet. A few things to settle, a few things to sort out, Swaminathan. A few more qualifications I have to get. A few more years under the belt. A few more wives, Swaminathan, this one's not working out. After I have the second one, the third one, maybe a couple more children, maybe that will work. Swaminathan, I have a few more obligations. They're not really sometimes obligations, but you make it out to be obligations. You make obligations out of non-obligations. It's fascinating how the mind works. Fascinating. This is not about you, I'm just generally saying things, okay? So now don't start thinking, I trusted Swaminathan that day when I said that, and then he gave me his blessings and all that, and now he says all this. No, this is not a personal remark about anyone. It never is. Not on this Dhammasana, it never is. There are never personal remarks thrown from the room from here to people out there. It's never like that. I don't have my bow and arrow, I'm not Cupid. Or the evil version of it. I don't remember your stories and just attack you from here. That would be dirty. That'd be ugly. It's not what I'm here for. These are just general things. Your job is to put the hat on if it fits. You put on the hat on if it fits. Because the hat gives you shelter. So it's a good saying. Fits, really fits. Because the hat is there to give you shelter. Shelter from the heat. Shelter from the rain. Protect you. So, here's the hat. You've heard the Sinhalese version of that, right? Toppiya Nandaga. So, here's a toppiya. Put it on if it fits you. It's meant to give you protection. If it fits, put it on. But none of these are intended or targeted towards anyone. But my point is, I could give you my blessings and say, may your education be successful, may your marriage be successful, may your business be successful, may you this be that successful, maybe your that be successful. Then to what end? Actually, here's what I really want to say. May that not be successful. May that be so unsuccessful that you realize that it's not going to work. So you move on to the next thing and try that. And may that also be unsuccessful. So you try the next one because you're not intelligent enough to work it out that if one is unsuccessful, then everything is the same. So you're one of those people who has to just try everything in the book and everything that everyone else has tried before you learn that the same thing happens to you. So then all I can wish and pray for is that everything you do is unsuccessful. May every worldly thing you do be unsuccessful. There you go. So that you soon realize that none of them is actually what you have come to this world for. Because the truth is, Simon, whether I give my blessings or not, it will be unsuccessful. If you are doing it for the purpose of happiness, it will be unsuccessful. I don't have to say it because the Buddha said it before me. The Buddha said it before me. Natti me saranang anyam. There's no other refuge. See, sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. You heard that, right? Most people think what that means is may all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. Loosely translated, okay. But there's more to it than that. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. What is anta? Anta is the end. Anta is the end of something. Lokanta, that you know, right? Been there? Only for a visit, right? Not to stay. Anta is the end. Then what is bhavanta? The end of bhava. Where do you see the word bhava? Bhava-pacca jati. This appears in the Paticca-samuppada. Avidya-pacca sankhara, pacca vijnana, pacca nama, rupa, pacca salayatana, pacca phassa, pacca vedana, pacca tanha, pacca upadana, pacca bhava. Bhava anta. Bhava is becoming. Becoming. See what you have become. The mind always wishes to become. Become something, become someone. Become an entity. That is what you need bhava for. To feel that you are an entity. That is what bhava does. That's why bhava-pacca jati. What is jati? The perception of self. So bhava always leads to that. Jati. Wherever there is bhava, there is inevitably jati. You know this, right? Bhava always leads to jati. This is becoming. This is your sense of self. This is the point at which you feel that you are an entity, an individual. Then what happens? What happens after that? Jati-pacca, jara, marana, shoka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, dukkha khandassa samudaya hoti. This is the penultimate step to the 11 great fires, ladies and gentlemen. So then this is the one just before that. The root of this is ignorance. So then, bhava-anta, to terminate bhava, the end of bhava, because bhava leads to jati, and therefore that leads to 11 great fires. Then, bhava-anta. What do you find bhava-anta? At the end of bhava, what do you find? Sukhi. Bliss. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. The Buddha says, that is where you shall find bliss. Where are you looking for it? Do you know something that he doesn't? I mean, he is omniscient. Are you omniscient and then some? See, when he has said it countless times, when the disciples who walked in his path has said it countless times, when to this day there are voices that reverberate in between your two ears and say it and repeat it countless times, ladies and gentlemen, that you can only achieve happiness at the end of bhava, where you can terminate your sense of self. Why do you still go looking for it elsewhere? Am I saying it wrong? Is that what it is? Am I not explaining it properly? I'm beginning to think maybe it's my fault, I don't know. Perhaps I'm not putting it in the right way to make sense. Maybe it's the teacher's fault. If it's not the student's fault, it's got to be the teacher's fault. I mean, if every student in the class fails, what do? You change the teacher, right? So, or do you not belong to the Sabbe Satta category? Do you fall in some other category? Because for Sabbe Satta, meaning for all beings, in other words, actually all chittas, there is no such thing called a being. A being is bhava. That's when you are a being. We've talked about this, that's why you're called human beings. You're being human. And you've got to swap the words around, then you realize what you're doing. You're being human. So for all sentient beings, meaning chittas that experience a sense of self, sukhi, bliss, joy, happiness is only to be found in one place, in one state. That is at the end of bhava. When you terminate bhava, when you eradicate bhava, at the anta of bhava, you shall find bliss. See, when he has said it in no uncertain terms, why, ladies and gentlemen, do you seek it elsewhere? Then I have to ask you the question. Are you not being truthful when you say, Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi? Are you not serious about it? Are you just saying it because everyone else in this room is also saying it? Because you were born a Buddhist and so you're supposed to say it? Are you just like parrots repeating what Swami Nuhase says? So Swami says, Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi kiyanna, Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saranam gacchāmi kiyanna, Dhammaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Is that what it is? See, when all the evidence points in the same direction, points to the same truth. What more proof do you need that you're a failure? And unless you decide to change the path that you're on, because wherever there's vexation, if you keep on feeding that vexation, that is the worldly path. Here's what people do. This is the worldly path. This is the worldly path. In the worldly path, there are two avenues. One is called good, the other is called bad. And they're both worldly. And that is what most of you do. Most of you try and be good. You always try to be good, which is good. So if this is good, you try and always be good, but you have to try to be good because there's a force inside you that always pushes you towards badness. To be truthful takes effort. Why is that? Because what's your tendency? To lie. Why? Because that is what is the safest bet to protect yourself. Because here's what you will protect at all costs: yourself. There's nothing more precious to you than yourself. Once again, I'm not saying that this is your fault. If the self happens in the mind, then this is the way that the self works. It is born with its own self-defense mechanisms. It's the way it is. If you're infected with this disease, the disease itself has a way of preventing cure. That's what it is. You know, there are some people who don't like to come to these talks because they're afraid that they may listen to the Dhamma, hear the Dhamma, understand the Dhamma, and then they will give up. There are people like that. That they'll start giving up things and then they will start going down the path to Nibbana. They're afraid of the truth. Wow. You know why that is? Again, the self. It's the sense of self that does that. It actively rejects, denies, prevents, avoids anything that is a threat to it, including the Dhamma. See, I could tell you, contemplate the Dhamma, but your natural tendency is to not. When you dig yourself into an ice cream, right? When you dig into that ice cream, the tendency is not to contemplate the Dhamma, the tendency is to enjoy the ice cream. You let yourself loose, because that is the nature of the sense of self. Self-preservation is part and parcel of it. It is born for that, ladies and gentlemen. It is born to protect. See, it's just like your bodies. The organs inside your body, right? They are born with a protective covering. That's your skeleton. Your skull protects your brain. So your skull's there because your brain's in there. So when the brain comes into existence, it brings with it a skull to keep it safe from harm. Yes? Anything that comes into existence is like that. Every example of existence has something to protect it from chaos. Now you pay attention to me, because this is an important part. Don't miss it for the world. Everything that comes into existence will come into existence with a protective mechanism. something to protect it from going back into chaos. Everything's like that. Your body is a classic example. So your skin is there to protect. Why do you think you have pain? Why do you think there's a sensation of pain? What's it there for? It's to protect. Protect what? Existence. Every formation has a natural way that it brings with itself to protect it, because there's a natural tendency of chaos. That is nature's order. Nature's not interested in letting you exist. Physicists in the room, you may have studied the concept of entropy, a natural tendency to decay. Chaos is the natural order. Therefore, to fight that chaos, because you want to exist, whatever comes into formation wants to exist. There's an innate need, a necessity to exist. Therefore, what happens? You come with a protective mechanism, like a shell, metaphorically speaking. That happens with the sense of self as well. That's why anything that is a threat to the sense of self, it will actively reject, including the Dhamma. Including the Dhamma. This is why, even when you have learned lessons the hard way, you keep going back to some things. There are many knots in the room. Your stories will be different, but the underlying theme is the same. Even when you know it's bad, it's wrong, and you will get yourself in trouble again, you'll still keep going back, because your sense of self wants that experience. Wants it. Then you are helpless. It sucks being you, doesn't it? Don't you think so? Sucks being you. Just think about it. In any given situation, there's the right thing to do, and the thing that you want to do. Now, does it not really suck being you? There's the right thing to do, and then there's the thing that you want to do. Doctor says no sugar. What do you want? That's all you want. Doctor says no smoking, but that's all you want. Doctor says no fat, but that's all you want. See, everyday examples. Mother says don't. You burnt yourself twice already. Don't go back to him. Says mother. And you know that what she says is true. There's enough evidence there. But your mind cries for that association. It tugs at you and says, no, but I want him. Surely one more time it will work out. Just once more it will work out. This time I know it will work out. You don't realize that it is a sense of self that's speaking all this bull into your head. And you buy that nonsense, you buy that crap. That's your sense of self, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I said it sucks being you. If you want happiness, stop being you. If you want to be happy, stop being you. You are the reason for your unhappiness. Not someone else, not something else. It's not the weather. It's not the economy. It's not the country. It's not your neighbors. It's not your relations. You're unhappy because of you. You can deal with everyone else, but there's one person you can't deal with. That's you. That's why you're exhausted. See, you can argue, you can reason with your spouse, you can reason with your fellow countrymen, you can reason with the politicians, you can reason with this, them, that, others, you can reason with your friends. But how can you reason with yourself? Even when you have proven, this is bad, this is wrong, this is immoral, what does your mind say? Ane. Yes or no? So, when your mind says that, you give up all that logic that you worked so hard. 2 or 3 hours you've been building up all this logic and reasoning it out and say, no, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this, that and the other. It's all planned out, I've got it all worked out. Mind says, Ane, okay, let's go. That is what you're like. Once again, it's not your fault, it's your fault. This is what happens. So you try and be good. I mean, that's what I can say, try and be good. Good luck. Good luck to you, really. Try and be good. You will always have to keep trying. Because your tendency is always to side with bad. And there's a reason for that. Why there's always a tendency to side with bad. That is, what is bad is what is more to you. This is what is bad. Which one's bad? To hoard or to give? Relatively, what is bad? To hoard, isn't it? That's bad. But which one feeds the self better? To give or to hoard? Of course to hoard. Because when you're hoarding something, you're collecting it for yourself. To speak the truth or to speak a lie? Which one's good? To speak the truth is good. But when it's yourself at stake, what is your natural tendency? See, have you never been in situations where you know that if you speak the truth, some harm or evil will come to you? You put evil to aside, some harm will come to you. It will turn out to be an unfavorable situation, right? An unfavorable position for you. So, then you try and argue your case. Say that, how can I, because I don't like to lie, I have to tell the truth. Right? It's not right to lie. Observe the precepts as well and all that you remind yourself. And then you build up a case. It's like going to court with you every day, isn't it? You have to build up a case. Honestly, like I said, does it not suck being you? Every day you have to build up a case. You can't even speak the truth. So difficult to speak the truth because your mind says, lie, lie, lie. Just lie, man. One small lie. What's it going to do? No one's going to die. Just lie. Because that's better, that's easier, that's more soothing on your sense of self. It's more protective. It's more reassuring to your sense of self. Come on, you've all been there, you know what I'm talking about. So immediately say, lie, 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 just lie. Lie and we'll deal with the consequences later. There's always a justification in the back of your mind. Every lie has justification. Remember. So difficult to speak the truth. If you are at stake. But what is it you demand from others? The truth. Why? Because again you are at stake. You always demand the truth because if they utter a lie, now you're at stake. But when it is you who has to be truthful, now you choose to lie because now, again, you're at stake. See? It's like a courtroom in your head, isn't it? Always having to argue the facts because there's a moral compass inside you. Your conscience says, you have to sleep tonight, man. Come on, just speak the truth. And then your sense of self goes, hello, I walked into the room, now everyone is shut up. Lie. This is where you find yourself every day of your miserable life. Always oscillating between, like the fan. Oscillating between good and bad. The tendency is always go to bad. Is to always go to bad, but you have to always keep pulling it in there. Come on, be good, be good, be good, be good, be good. But the moment you let loose, it goes to bad again. Because it's better to be bad, ladies and gentlemen. Not from a moral sense. For yourself, it's better to be bad. You have already given your word to one man or to one woman, but you see another one from the corner of your eye. What does your mind say now? Ane. We haven't exchanged vows, no? Justifications. We still haven't signed the paper, no? Justification. You've already said, like, let's get married and, I'll go come see your parents and, right? So the deal is done. Essentially the deal is done. Back in those days, they didn't have marriage certificates. The word was a word. The said word was as good as the deed. Therefore, they didn't need paperwork. Or when people lost trust in nature, now they needed to record everything. So you've given your word. You said, yes, I give you my word. I'll come and talk to your parents next Monday. Right? And then we will formalize the whole thing. Then we'll take a little registration. And then we'll have the wedding and we'll sort things out. Right, so now the word is given. Now, they're essentially engaged. But you see here, the other one. What does the mind say now? Just once. Just one time. I know why you're laughing. But of course you have a moral compass as well. There's a good side to you. See, this is you. There is a good side to you. This is why I say it sucks being you, because you have both sides. It's very difficult to get through the day. It's incredibly difficult. So what does the good side say? Come on, man. You gave her your word. I mean, are you so unscrupulous? What are you, a man or an animal? You gave your word. She trusts you. You said you would go and talk to her parents next Monday. So what are you going to go and tell their parents? Dear Papa, I'm going to look after your daughter and I'll be faithful to her. How can you even say such a thing when after you are going to do what you want to do? Yeah, that's right. No, I'm not. No. I have to be faithful. I've got to be honest. I'm a genuine man. Right? I've been brought up the right way. My parents always wanted me to be right and very forthright. So I won't do such a thing. What does the other guy say? Ane. So you spend a lot of time arguing your case for goodness. You know that this is the way your mind works. You know, because this is not you I'm talking about. This is how minds work. So unless you have something else other than a mind, then this is how you work. Now, we are all guilty. This is how minds work. I know that none of you is a saint. But you all have potential to be saints. That's why we are making an effort. Don't worry, every sinner has a future. And in that future there is a saint. Let's not also forget that every saint had a past. And in that past they were a sinner. No one was born perfect. No one was born perfect. So then that fellow on the other side, they said, come on, just once, she's not going to find out. Father's not going to find out. Right? So, besides, you've not actually gone and talked to the parents. What if she changes her mind? Then you're going to lose out on this opportunity. Opportunity now. All of a sudden, that's become an opportunity. It was just a fortuitous meeting, but now it's become an opportunity. And if you don't leverage this opportunity, it's going to be gone and lost forever. And here's what else, anyway, after Monday, you can't do any of this. Right? So this is the last chance you're going to get. It's now or never. I missed this boat, and you're never going to get on another one again. So, come on. Just once. Just the last time. You will hear that. I know you hear that. I know you will hear that, ladies and gentlemen, because that is what minds are like. Half the time it's a bed of roses, other times it's a cesspit. It stinks, smells, it's yucky. It's just trash. You know this is what the mind is like. You have to go through this. You have to live through this. That is why it's so difficult just existing. And then once you get sucked into that, then you then block out all other arguments for the right side. You just block it out. Now you don't think about it anymore, because if you start thinking about that, then it becomes incredibly difficult to do what you want to do now. So you just block it all out, and then you just go and indulge yourself in however way you want. But then after all is done, now what happens? Now the good guy, he comes to say, happy now. Now the bad guy's gone now. He got what he wanted. No more ane from him now, he's gone. So who comes next? The good guy. He goes and, so how do you go? Are you happy now? So you gave your word, and now you did this. And now what are you going to go and tell her father now? That you're going to be faithful to her, and you're going to look after her, and to trust you. Is that what you're going to go and say? Really? Well, with your mouth? What you? Really? The good guy asks you now. We call that, what's the word? Guilt. Now you have to live with that. For how long? Forever. But now the vexation is released. Right? The pleasure was sought, that was experienced, and now the good guy comes back and says, you should not have done that. Now every time you see her, that thought comes back to mind. Every time, now when you go and talk to her father, your mouth goes dry. Because you can't say what you really wanted to say, because now your integrity is gone. It's shattered. This is what people go through every day, ladies and gentlemen. All 8 billion of them. This is what they go through. Just one example from one walk of life, one facet of life. Countless other examples from various other walks of life, various other areas of life. Whether it's lending some money, taking something that you think belongs to you from someone. uttering lies, backbiting, whatever the case might be. Honestly, does it not feel like it sucks being you? All because of this sense of self. When was the last time you made a decision and then you could settle with that decision? The other time is when you know that there are many possible good options. Right? This is not bad now. Not the bad stuff. There are several good options and you can only decide on one. So you work out your odds, you see which ones are, you work it all out and you make one decision. But the moment you make that decision, you're always thinking about, what if I'd chosen the other one? Maybe the other one could have worked out better. You can't settle. Has that never happened to you? You decide on one, all three are good options. But you have to decide on one. So you decide, and then your mind always says, this might have been better. This also could have been better. But now can't go back. Have to settle with this one. Indecisiveness. So what's your solution? Toss a coin. Now you have to live with that. The moment you walk through one door, you're always thinking about what could have been if I'd walked through the other doors. Again, you can't now enjoy what you have in the door that you've just walked in. You can't enjoy that. Why? Because your mind is always thinking what it could have been if you'd walked through one of the other doors. See, you can't even be happy with what you get. Why? It's because of your sense of self. Always wants more. Always wants more. Never enough. Never satisfied. Because whenever it finds happiness, or it thinks it's happiness, it's only pleasure. That's the thing with pleasure. It's such a falsehood. It makes you believe that you're happy, but it's not happiness at all. It's just pleasure. And you know how pleasure works. It's merely relief from vexation. So the moment you're relieved from that vexation, now you're vexing about the next thing, or what could have been. But now it's too late, you can't go down that route. So the only thing that's left to do is regret, suffer, repent. What if? Oh, how it could have been. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Whenever you are something, the mind wants to be something else. Always becoming something else in the mind. That's the thing. When you were younger, you want to be older. You wanted to grow up. Now that you're grown up, you want to be younger again. See? When you were single, you wanted to be married, and now you want to be single again. See? When you had no children, you wanted to have children, and now you have children, you want to go back to being a bachelor again. See? It's so incredibly difficult being you, is it not? So why do you want to continue being you? And then on top of all that, you even celebrate how many years you've been you. I can't think of a bigger joke than that. Every year you celebrate being who? Being you. 25 years of being me, yay! What, after all this I've explained to you? When's your next birthday? You're going to celebrate that as well? Ah, okay. God bless you, my child. You celebrate being you. That's why I don't take birthdays anymore. The day I realized that it sucked being me, I stopped taking birthdays. I hate being me. It's the worst thing that ever happened to me. What? Me. Not you. No one else. Nothing else. I am the worst thing that ever happened to me. Being me. Having a desire, having a way that I want to be, having a preference, always wishing it was something else, always wishing it was Friday when it's Monday. See? You can never get out of Monday what Monday is supposed to bring. Monday is just as beautiful as Friday. Did you know that? The sun rises just as bright. Did you know that? But you'll struggle to agree with me. Because Fridays have a special place in your heart. It feels different. Mondays are longer than Fridays, aren't they? Yeah, see? How many hours is a Monday? About 100 or so hours. And Friday? 6 hours or so, right? Why? Because you can't enjoy. You can't just be. 1/7 of your life you hate being. See, does it not suck being you? For those of you in work, right, all of you, most of you, you know you don't like your Mondays. You know you don't like your Mondays. So 1/7 of your life you hate. Because when it's Monday, you want it to be Tuesday. That's why you can't enjoy Monday, because you want it to be Tuesday. So when it's Tuesday, you don't like Tuesday, because now you've gotten over the worst. As you got over the worst bit, but now you're still on Tuesday, because it could be what? Could be Wednesday, couldn't it? Come on, it could be Wednesday and it's only Tuesday. Come on, God. What are you doing? Set the sun. Bring up the moon. Make it Wednesday again, as soon as possible. So now you wait till Wednesday. And Wednesday comes. Still 3 more days to go. So you're always living in the future in your mind. You can never be present. Therefore, the beauty of the presence is lost on you. It doesn't even feel like a present, does it? You hate the now so much, it doesn't even feel like a present. But it is. It's a gift. But it doesn't feel like it. Because you always want the following day. You always want another day, a different day. So you live your life, ladies and gentlemen, hating 1/7 of it until you retire. Then after that, you hate all 7 days. Why? Because now there's no one to talk to, no one to go for a coffee with you. Everyone else is at work. The children have abandoned you because they have better things to do than be with you and talk to you to keep you company. They have things to do, they have people to go see, they have their own family now. Right? They're busy, no time for you. So which day of the week have you enjoyed in your life? This is why towards the end you wait until you die. Because the entire life has been so miserable. Now in death you seek bliss. Some people say that. I'm tired of life, Swami. Just waiting for that day when I can actually close my eyes, finally. Life is just so exhausting. And they think that everything ends when life is over. So they look forward to that. Little do they know that when one door closes, another door is just waiting to open. And it will be a new one again. And they have to go through it all again. You have to come out of this. You have to come out of this now. You have to come out of this today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking to you. So, this is where worldly people spend their time. Good and bad. But there's another way. This is what they say, Anyahi labhu panisa. The path to gain, the path to profit, to avoid loss and make profit, that's one path. Anya Nibbāna gamini. The path to Nibbana is another one, it's different. When do you think these two arrows will meet? At which point? Give me the coordinates where these two lines will intersect. One's going this way, the other's going that way. Where do these intersect? The day pigs fly, right? Yeah, that's the day. That day pigs shall fly. That is why I invite you all the time. Don't just go with the stream, don't just go with the flow. Because that is what, people are okay with that. The rest of the world is okay with you being one of these two. If you don't be bad, what are they going to do with the prisons? They'll have to shut them down. Then what about the people who work at the prisons? They'll be left jobless. Then that's a big problem. So some of you have to be what? Bad. May you be bad. Some of you have to be bad. There have to be a certain number of bad people in a country. Did you know that? There have to be a certain number of bad people. So you can volunteer. So not everyone should be good. Because the country couldn't survive like that. Because the police officers, they need jobs to do. Right? The prison guards need work to do. The executioners, they need work to do. That's also a job. Someone has to do it. Right? The lawyers, they need work to do. They need to have something to do. If everyone was good, like you is part of your land, the neighbor comes and says, no, that's my land. Oh, okay. Take it. Your house is also mine. Oh, sure. Your wife is also mine. Of course. Right? If you were like that, people would call you Vesantara. Then there would be no need for lawyers. So what do you think lawyers want? For some of you to be bad. That's not taking anything away from the lawyers. That's just the way the world works. Banks want you to spend more than you have. You think your bank manager loves you? Then you have another thing coming. If you think your bank manager, I used to be a bank manager, so have it from me. Take it from me, ladies and gentlemen. If you think your bank manager loves you, and you think that's why they say, good morning, sir, please come in, sir, please sit here, sir, can I get you coffee, sir? And that's not because they love you, ladies and gentlemen. In you, they see potential. Isn't that a good thing? They see potential in you, just as I do. They see potential to make money out of you. So, some people in this world have to spend more than they can afford. They have to. So that there are people who can lend you more than you can afford and make money out of it. What do most people do anyway? They spend money they don't have, to buy things they don't want, to please people they don't like. That's what most people do. Go home and make a list of these things. Things that you bought with money you didn't have, that you didn't want, but to please someone you don't like. You will find that plenty of things in the house fit these three categories. You can tick, tick, tick. Yeah, that's one of them. But you have some people in this world have to go spending money they don't have, things that they cannot afford to have, because the world has to go on. There have to be people who can lend money to. Then there have to be the debt collectors. If everyone paid their debts on time, what would the debt collectors do? Who's going to pay their bills? Right? So don't everyone pay their bills on time. Make some false promises. Tell the bank, I'll pay tomorrow, but don't. So the debt collectors have some work to do. Like then the people who drive those white vans and they just put a sack over your head and put you into the van and take you. Like they also they also got work to do. They have to have work to do. The thugs. So you can't all be good. It's okay to be good some of the time. Other times you have to be bad. That is this path. And the country is okay with that. The world is okay with that, don't forget. As much as they will say that we promote goodness and people should be law-abiding, right? What they don't say is, some of you have to break the law some of the time. It's the way the world works. But they won't say that to your face because you cannot be seen to be saying such a thing. But some of you have to break the law so that others can put you right. That's the way the world works. Do you see how you're just rats in a cage just running around? You're like guinea pigs. People are just kicking you around, just messing around, just throwing you around, taking that cage and just, giving it a good shake, and you're just thrown around here, there, left, right, everywhere. When are you going to choose the alternative path? Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. This is all bhava. Good bhava and bad bhava. There is no Nibbāna bhava. That is bhavanta. So if you want sukhi, it is not to be found on this side. Sukhi is only to be found on this side. That is the Buddha's blessing to all sentient beings. That is why he went through all those years of hardship and austerity to uncover this path. Ladies and gentlemen, he was lost for a long time. This is the world that you knew before the Buddha came around. This is all you knew. So people could only choose between good and bad. And all people just kept jumping between one or the other. That's all they had. And one fine day the Buddha comes and says, no, wait, there's another path. You're here because you're in the right place at the right time. If it weren't you, someone else would hear this. Don't forget, I don't need you to preach. As long as there's someone on that seat. Prepared to go through a transformation. Prepared to listen. Prepared to heed. Prepared to change. That is all that matters. It doesn't have to be you. But for your sake, who has it got to be? You. For your sake, it has to be you. For the sermon's sake, someone. Doesn't matter. For Swaminathan's sake, it doesn't matter at all. If there was no sermon here, I'd be at home, reflecting, contemplating. But for your sake, remember, it has to be you and no other. So sending your mother here instead of you coming here, for your sake, meaningless. I'm not suggesting you do it, but I have seen sometimes, not for sermons, like I remember when we used to go to the temple to take alms, especially the fathers, husbands, what they used to do, they send the wives and the children, right, to offer to worship the Swami Mahasays, light the candles, light this, light that, incense, all that. And what do the husbands do? Fathers? Because they are men. Right? They are men. So what do men do? Men do men things. Right? They sit at the back and they just talk between themselves, like, how's the country? Like, what's the situation, the political agenda? How's the state of affairs in the United States of America? That's kind of. That's what the men do. They have to talk about men things. Whereas the wives and the children, you go and offer Swaminas or something. Look after their arms. Go get your precepts. Go get your precepts. Men. Don't be fooled. Pride and prejudice will kill you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let pride get the better of you. Whatever is man about you is only your body. Whatever is woman about you is only your body. In your mind, it's just a humble mind. So, choose wisely. So far in life you have been a failure. You cannot deny that. Whether you accept what I say or not, you cannot deny that. This is the truth. So far in life you have been a failure. But you can change that. Failure because of only one reason. You came into this world, you came into life, not looking for the material things that you have gained today. They were all supposed to be a means to another end, and that end was happiness. If you haven't found that in all these means that you have found, then you are a failure. But alas, happiness is not something that is to be found somewhere. It is to be realized. Under the Bodhi tree, what did the Buddha do? He realized Nibbāna. He didn't find Nibbāna under the Bodhi tree. Nibbāna was a realization, meaning he realized that he'd always had it. But because we are so accustomed to always doing something, now it's incredibly difficult, it seems incredibly difficult to stop doing it. Because ignorance is the driving force. There's a driving force inside ignorance. Always keep saying, no, do something, buy something, eat something, go somewhere, listen to something, watch something, touch something, lick something. Your mind will always keep saying that. But please, for your sake, think carefully. Make a wise decision for once in your life. You have the entirety of samsara to regret, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Don't worry. Don't think that, well, what if I might not have time to regret? Don't worry about that. There's plenty of time to regret. You have all of samsara to regret, but you only have this life to get it right. When I got down in front of the Buddha and I worshipped him, I worshipped at the statue, I reminded myself, like I always do, this may be the last sermon that I'm doing. Guru Maharaj always tells us to do everything as if it's the last time you're going to be doing it. So I told myself, this may be the last sermon I'm going to be doing. If that is so, I must ensure that I put my heart and soul into this. And so I always do. I don't expect that I will be able to talk to you again next week. So then this is the only chance I get. Talking about which day I'm not going to be talking to next week, but that's another matter. So this is the last sermon. So this is the last sermon I'm going to do, and this is the last sermon you're going to listen to. So this is the last time you're going to get to make a decision. Choose wisely. Remember, not making a decision is also making a decision. Yes? To not make a decision is also to make a decision. It's called apathy. Don't care. I don't care. Let whatever happens, happen. Well, then that's going to happen. Don't be apathetic about your life. It's samsara we are talking about here. When I asked you about the falling star, you said you would send invitations out to every friend you know on your friend list. You said you would. And when I asked you about the eclipse, you said you would. You would invite all your friends, all your family. You'd call the neighbors. But this was an invitation to listen to the Muniraja's Dhamma. The teaching of the greatest sage we have ever seen. His teaching says, Sabbe Satta Bhavantu Sukhitatta. Bliss shall only be found where existence ceases. If that is what you are up to, sadhu sadhu. But if that is not what you are up to, then perhaps you had better change. That is the invitation to you. You might think I sound stern, but when I sit on this seat, you give me the authority to be a teacher to you. Soon as I get up, I'm your humble servant. I eat what you feed me, if you feed me. I go where you lay down the pavada. I don't even know where sometimes these things lead. I trust you that you will lead me to the right place. One of these days you might lead me to a corridor and then to a balcony with no fence. Right? So once I'm off this seat, I'm just a very normal person. I seek permission to talk to you before I sit down on this seat. It's almost like a possession. I'm possessed by the Buddha force. That is the power of your goodness, the power of your merit. That is what I meant by these two things have to come together. Wisdom and your merit. When these two things fuse, amazing things happen. I'm a different person. But once the sermon's over, I'm your humble servant. I'm a beggar. I live on mere sustenance. I don't talk to you like this once I get off this seat. Then you are sir, you are madam. Yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. I don't tell you off, I don't admonish you, I'm not stern to you, I'm very, very kind and soft spoken, all of that. But as a teacher, as you give me that authority, when I ascend to this dharmasana, then that's a different interaction. It's a different relationship. Because at this point, I cannot be your friend. I cannot be that Swami Maharaj that you know. No. That's why, we work together on certain things, don't we? At the monastery, Little Britain, and various other projects, and how we can work together on this mission to help people. But when I'm on the dharmasana, I'm none of those things. Then I'm ruthless. I don't know you, right? You have done nothing for me. You have done nothing for me anyway. You have only done for yourselves. Yeah? I don't know you. I don't even belong here. I don't belong to this world. So therefore I don't care what people think about me. That's why at the end of these sermons, some of this has to be edited out. Because the world is not prepared to listen to all of this because they have not placed me in the position of teacher. So then there's just another Swami Maharaj giving a sermon. So then they will listen to it critically. Not critically on themselves, but critically on the sermon, the Swami Maharaj. So then they'll find 101 things that they will say is not right. He should not have said such a thing. That was very offensive. He should not have said such a thing. No one forced you to be here. You have all come here on your own accord because you want to be here, right? Like I said last week, I only expect one thing from me and nothing more than that. I shall not intentionally hurt you. That is a vow I have taken. Not with you, but with the Buddha. I shall not intentionally hurt you. Not by speech, not by action, not by thought. That is the only thing you must expect from me. The rest of it, leave it to whatever happens. So, finally, these words should not just be words that were uttered. You listened, and then you got up and you walked away. End of chapter. No. It should be the end of your chapter. You have to come to that day where you can say, the end. At least you have to count in your mind, how many more chapters before I can write the end? When an author starts to write a book, at the beginning sometimes they have no idea how many more chapters will be there for this book. But as you come to the end of that story, you have to start planning for how to conclude this story. And then how many more chapters before you write the end? I hope you are now starting to have that in mind. The end in mind. So next Sunday, there will not be a sermon here. You are all invited to the monastery because it is the day that we are going to be launching 25 or so YouTube channels, each one carrying the timeless truth of the Dhamma in as many languages, so that people just like you and I, who may not have this opportunity, can still listen to the Dhamma, can still learn the truth about this world and realize that there's another path. It is only those who have seen that can show this path. Those who haven't seen cannot show this path because they are just as blind. That is why those who have seen it is incumbent upon them, ladies and gentlemen. It is our duty, it's our responsibility to do that because others have done the same for us. Isn't it? If others have gone the extra mile on our behalf, expecting nothing in return, if it is Nibbāna someone is giving you, there can never be a cost to it. So if someone says, here I'm going to give you Nibbāna, but I'm going to give you a bill at the end of that, I say walk away. Because they don't understand that their deal is with nature. Therefore they want it from you. Right? If someone says, I'll give you Nibbāna, but you've got to give me 25,000 at the end of the talk. I mean, that's cheap these days, isn't it? 25,000. You know why I don't charge you for these sermons? You won't be able to afford it. Because the price of this sermon is your life. That's why I ask for nothing other than that. So in every sermon I ask you to pay up. You don't. You go, you walk away without paying. The price of these sermons is your life. That's what I'm saying. It would be priceless. That's why I don't charge. But if there's someone who says, I will give you Nibbāna, but give me 1 lakh, I say, think carefully before you act. Because they probably haven't understood or realized yet that their interaction is with nature. So there cannot be a price tag to Nibbana. The one thing that has no price tag is Nibbana. Anyway, that's another matter. There are people out there, ladies and gentlemen, who need us, and it is our duty to step up to that and serve. Just as others have served us, we have to serve. Service to man is service to God, some say. Because in serving man, you create your karma jarahan, your karmic strand. If you believe that there is God, then yes, it is true. Service to man is service to God. If you can see all people in this world as your own children, then you will want to give that love and affection and devotion that springs in your heart just for your children, but it will happen for all. So that is why we want to do this and launch the Dhamma far and wide so that it reaches every corner of this globe. This is only one small step, but actually for mankind it's a giant leap. I think that this is a feat of human achievement. Not just our monastery, or a few of us who want to deliver the Dhamma. I think that this is a feat of human achievement. It's on that scale, I believe. Because that is what my heart says right now. This is all encompassing. Whether it's Tamil, Malayalam, Gujarati, Hindi, French, German, Spanish, Italian, sign language, even to them, they're also going to get a channel. Sign language. Whether they can become Sotapannas watching that, I don't know. But at least they can understand some concepts. At least they can make a determination. And the Swami Mahansis and the Anagarika, Mahatmas and the Anagarikas who put in the time to learn and love the language when it is not for their behalf. When it's not for them, that is just beautiful. I have no words to describe just the sheer goodness and the greatness that works in their hearts. The fact that they're willing to put in time, effort, learning just a single word of another language itself is hard enough. And then the pronunciation that comes with that. It's not just enough to speak a language, you have to speak it in a way that others, natives, understand it. Some languages, they don't share the same roots. So therefore the ways that you have to twist and turn your tongue and you make your vocal cords and all that, it's an art. It's an art form. Those who have learned several languages will know the challenges that are there in learning a language, especially when it's not for you. Because our teacher teaches us all in a language that we all understand. That's our native tongue. So we don't need it. None of us need it. But we do it anyway. Meaning, it's not done for us. That is why I invite you to be part of that mission. Be there in your heart. Be there in your soul. Be there in your well-wishes. Give your blessings. Be there in person. And rejoice. And rave at the opportunity to be part of this. That's what I'm talking about. Like that falling star. Here's an invitation to you. To be part of something that is for the whole of humanity. This is not just for Sri Lanka, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just about putting Sri Lanka on the map. We are here for the whole of humanity. Mankind needs us. Then it's time we step up to the plate. Do you see what you are part of? I want you to understand the magnitude of this mission. And I want you all to feel that you're part of this, because you are. If not for this community, if not for you putting aside something, putting aside the best, putting aside the first and foremost, to nourish, to nurture, to look after the Mahasangha. This would not be possible. If it's not for you who put the shelter above our heads, if it's not for you who nourish us, if you can't have wisdom, then give to those who have wisdom, who can share that wisdom. Either works. I really want you all to feel that you are part of this, because I want you to enjoy this, and I want you to rejoice in it and earn as much merits as we do, being part and parcel of this. Just as the Swaminatha speaks in Arabic and he spreads love and compassion, I want you to watch him. You might not understand a word he says, but that's okay. Think of the purpose behind that. Reflect on the beautiful thought behind that, the intention behind that, and rejoice in that. Somewhere, a mother and a father gave up that child so that he could go and be of service to the entire mankind. It's beautiful, isn't it? What they could have kept for themselves, to look after them when they are older and can't look after themselves. What they could have kept for themselves, they gave up. That's why it's everyone working together. It's the whole sasana, it's the whole sangha, the fourfold sangha who make this possible. Great things will happen, ladies and gentlemen. All we need to work on is ensuring that our hearts are always great. Our intentions are always good. And then great things will happen. If you're good, then the world around you becomes better. If you're great, the world around you becomes great. That is what we have to do. Don't go changing others, we change ourselves for others. So, that's happening next Sunday. We would like you to be there by 8. So it will happen in the Dhamma hall. And I think the event will go on till about 12 or 1 sort of time. Because we have 25 channels to launch. That takes a little bit of time. We will also have the presence of several heads of missions, because they really want to give their blessings to us, because they understand the effort that we are putting into learning these languages, their native tongues. So some members have actually, we didn't even request the head of the mission to take part, but some have actually come back to us and said, if you're doing this, then we will send the ambassador. That's what they have come back to us and said. We just said, can we have the driver? They said, we'll send the ambassador. I mean, it's great to see that people recognize that there are good people in this world who really want to make a change, make a difference. So, you are all invited. And then in the afternoon, we will have a sermon. So your Sunday is always put to good use, as usual. If you can stay back for the sermon, then all the better for it. Before I conclude, I have a short video to show you. Hopefully it will work this time. But this is not the same video I was going to show you last week. This is that and a little bit more. Some of you were at the monastery yesterday, so you would have seen this. But for others, this is a few short clips from our visit to the Swami's ashram last week when we visited India. And a few things that he said about us, about all of us, and what he'd observed at the monastery. I really want you to see this, because I want you to rejoice in knowing that what we are doing here has truly gone onto an international stage now. Thousands of people out there have got to hear about you. They know about you. They're interested in what you are and what you have to say. And that's a great platform for us to do the work that we want to do. That's why. We have to reach out to those people so that we can take this message out to them. So I mentioned the podcast last week, Sanatana Vani. And the podcast is there to share talks given by our Swami Mahanses. And those talks will reach many large numbers of people, large audiences. I think far more than we could ever reach in the next few years. So you need to know that those talks were talks that were given to this audience. So it was you who made that happen. Shall we? So thank you very much once again. You heard the Sunday lectures? Where's that? Where are the Sundays lectures? People are talking about you all. I always tell you, they may come here having heard the voice, but they don't stay here for the voice. They stay here for the community. So people have been so impressed. People who have come here, people who have spent time with you, living with you, being with you, sitting here, having that affection and love that you show each other. They have been so impressed that they have taken that message across the oceans to people that more than half the world revere, respect, and hold in very high regard. So they're talking about you and the love and compassion that you have. You know, that is the true sign. That is the true testimony that the Dhamma is doing something. So, long may your praises be sung and be heard by people who will benefit from that. Long may your hearts be healed by the Buddha's teachings. Long may your lives be transformed for the better. May you find bliss and happiness. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Okay, let's do a night transfer and close. Let us all take a moment then to transfer the message we have all acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, by inviting the Swami Maharaj to deliver the sermon, as well as creating a conducive environment for all to come along and practice the Dhamma and to reflect and contemplate the teachings of the Buddha. First and foremost, let us transfer this message to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas who have since time immemorial protected and preserved the sublime teachings of the Buddha and passed in Dhamma to the generations of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, understand and comprehend the Dhamma. Let us take a moment to transfer this message to all the monks and nuns resident throughout the world, including the Mahanayakas, the Anunayakas of all of the chapters who have made it their life's purpose to protect and preserve the sublime teachings of the Buddha. Let us also transfer this message to the monks and nuns resident in your local temples and nunneries who have always been by your side through thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let us transfer this message to my teacher, Guru Swami Mahanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery and the Anagarikas and Anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let us transfer this message to those who make great effort to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be there by translating these talks, sharing them out with others or inviting others to join them. May they all rejoice in this message. Let us also transfer this message to our devotees, friends of the monastery, who for the sake of merits to help them attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes all of you who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, robes and medicines, as well as those who pass on their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. May they all rejoice in this message. Let us also transfer this message to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews and nieces, our friends, our acquaintances, employers and our employees, as well as anyone and everyone who have helped us, supported us and assisted us in any way, shape or form. May they all rejoice in this message, and by the power of these messages may they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcoming obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer this message to the devas and brahmanas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakadeva, as well as all the numerous gods and deities who have committed themselves to fulfill and preserve the Sambuddhasana. Let us transfer this message to our guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also transfer this message to our forefathers, our ancestors, anyone who have passed away in our name, Reminding ourselves that it is in the blood, sweat and tears today we are able to enjoy the comforts of life. Let us transfer these messages to members of the armed forces as well as the police force who sacrificed their lives for the peace and harmony of our nation, as well as those who lost their lives in the wars, be their friend or foe, and those who lost their lives in natural disasters and calamities such as the tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, fires, floods, pandemics and so on. Reminding ourselves that in this infinitely long journey of samsara, they will all have been mothers and fathers to us, brothers to us, sisters to us, friends to us, and therefore with an abundance of compassion and loving kindness towards all of them, let us transfer all these merits that we have acquired to all of them. May by the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful plains, they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Finally, may by the power and blessings of all the merits we have acquired throughout the day, we will witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of arahants on this blessed land. And finally, may you and I and everyone who's helped make this program a success become a rahatan mahanse or an arahat teranin mahanse in this very life itself and in this era of this Sambuddha Sasana itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Rajagiriya Sukhita Nibbāna parama sukhayam sukhita parama mamada siyanu loka siyanu satnayo Nibbāna parama sukhayam sukhita parama Nibbāna parama sukhayam sukhita parama Nibbāna parama sukhayam sukhita parama Rajagiriya තුන්වන්ගේ සුවිසි අනන්ත මහා ගුණ වෙලෙන සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝම නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛතර වෙත්වා. සාදු සාදු සාදු.